All right, so good, good, no good, good, huh. Oh, I know why that is. All right, so I left kind of abruptly the other day. I still had some stuff to do at home. I finished getting these cords up through the ceiling. I'm going to tack those down after I kind of have them fitted. I have a feeling the orange line might have to be pulled just a little bit further, but we got some fresh, safe electrical. And these are probably all the cords I'm going to be running until I get a new panel box. And there's some work that has to be done prior to getting a new panel box in. I'm going to upgrade the service to 200 amps. Currently we have a 200 amp meter on the outside, but the wires running from the line, the main line, and down to the house don't support that. So when we go to switch out the breaker panel, that's when we're going to take care of that. So in the meantime, I didn't record this unfortunately, but I stripped down the panel box, and I left the breakers in just because they're gonna keep all these holes closed up just the way it is. So those are fine there. And I'm basically gonna have 3 breakers running, one for the pump, one for the sump pump, and one that's gonna run some outlets. I have one outlet there run, and I'm gonna have one inside upstairs and one outside, just outside the front porch. And then we're gonna close that up and forget about it until we actually go to switch out the panel. And in the meantime, I'm gonna have all these wires accounted for as I remove them. There was a mystery line upstairs at that switch box that I couldn't figure out, so I went into the attic. It didn't really take you long because it's a lot of work moving around there and trying to maneuver a camera and a light at the same time. Just very, very difficult. So I went up there, and sure enough, it was both the ceiling fan and the living room light, and they were both cut. Just the hot line was cut in the ceiling, so that's really strange. I have no idea why. He opened up the insulation, and I have a little picture I'll provide of that, and it was just left in the ceiling like that. It's incredibly dangerous. So yeah, I'm gonna be, like I said before, I'm gonna have every line accounted for before we do any serious tampering, and we're gonna do a safety check on every single line prior to hooking everything up. In the meantime, the little bit I am hooking up is all brand new line, and it's done very safely. So let's finish getting these things hooked up. All right, so we're gonna start on this one. Guess I won't be using that. I got a better idea. Alright, so I went up, grabbed a few supplies. I'm going to put a new mounting board on. So, if I can find my pliers. Alright. So, I'm going to put this up here, and I'm going to use the old wire and nail trick and just get new anchors in. There we go. So, a couple more lengths of wire. The only difficult part is making sure you don't bend over the nail. Gotta hammer it straight in. And when you're doing that, you don't want to use RDox nails. You want smooth shank. Work better. All right. So this might be changing down the road. I'm not sure what I'm doing in this room, but I'm just going to reinstall the same box. It was fine for now. Right there. I like leaving just a little extra right there in case we got to pull some through down the road. And that's code in some places. Clamp down the line. Oh. Wrong head. When you're doing this, make sure you're in the right slot. And you only want to go through the insulation. You don't want to score the wire up. So very gently. There we go. And I prefer using the screws rather than the little push tabs. Black goes on gold. This was a 14 gauge wire in before. This receptacle is pretty much new, so I opted to just use the same one. All right. There's one down. Now we're going to hop over here. We're going to find out if this is long enough. So I think with this one, I want to get conduit on this, and I'm going to direct wire it, but I don't have the conduit, and I still have some work yet to do. I'm going to replace this tank with the proper size. So I'm going to put these on connectors. If you're in some places in the world, they're called morettes. Here in the United States, we call them wire nuts. And I'm just going to connect it like that temporarily. It will be getting changed. I'm going to connect this, place it roughly where that conduit's going to be going with a little bit extra wire, and then just leave it like that for now. I'm just remarking this wire here. Because we're treating that as the second pole. Yeah, I need at least a couple more feet, so let's pull that through. I'm going to let it dangle for just right now. My holes didn't quite line up here, so it's really hard to pull this part through. So I can see now that once I get a conduit in, we got plenty of line with about a foot to spare. So I'm going to leave it like that for now. So this is probably going to be a lot harder to see, but I'm going to attach to this line here, and I'm going to pull it through. As I pull it through, I'm going to pull the new line through. That way by the time I get up to the switch box up top, this line should be good and exposed. So that was never supposed to be a 3-pole line up top. So that hole is really tight for this. This might be a little bit of a challenge getting this in. So when I'm doing this, usually I kind of just hook them together, and then I squish it real good and tape everything. That way it can kind of slip through best it can. Usually it works. I'm not as optimistic about this one. We'll see. So the big question is whether or not that little bulge is going to fit through the hole. It's already tight. So let's hop upstairs. I'm sure you've noticed I got these little orange tags on everything. That's what I was working on when I first came in, before I got the camera rolling. So I was just tracing out where each one goes. And I'll be mapping it a little more properly. So this is the line we're replacing. Now if this wasn't the original line, it was probably accommodating more than what's here. But I don't mind throwing a regular 14-2 because it's not going to be accommodating quite as much anymore. So first thing we want to do is make sure that all the staples are out of the wall and this is free. So you gotta just reach in, check that. It's free there. I'm gonna find it here. Moving pretty good. yeah. Looks like. I'm just gonna pull it straight up and see what happens. Definitely stuck in good. Alright, so it's way too tight. I'm just going to pull it out. I stripped it down below and I'm going to fish it through by hand because I can reach everything anyway. No big deal. Look at that. Insulation was fried right at the end. That's probably why it was replaced right there. Alright, I'm just going to hop down below and get it started. Alright, we got it started down here. Alright, there we go. Didn't quite that much. About there. That's a new hot line. So from here, I'm going to struggle in a couple staples against the wall. Leave this fed through just like this, and I'm going to connect it and get these receptacles running. Alright, so I got some offcuts that are probably perfect for this. I'm going to be attaching to this one here. If I can find my knife. This is the one we're removing. The staple is out. Now, let's just add a little bit of slack up here. So going up a wall is much harder than going through a wall with this. Because you got to take corners. Oh, we lost it. That's all right. Just reach in, see if that one made it through at all. Oh. Oh, there we are. And it did not make it through. So we're going to do this a different way. So what I got here is a fish tape. I'm going to fish this over that cavity. I'm just finding the hole. There you are. There we go. Just got to guide it through this first hole. we go. Alright, it's through there. Now I just gotta feed it down and find it on the other side. There it is there. All right. The purpose of taping up here is it just keeps everything together so the lines don't snag everywhere along the way. So it's still going to be a bit tight. I'm going to help it along the way. We'll see how it goes. Well, the tape didn't make it, but the rest of it did. So, note to self, these holes are pretty tight. Might be difficult fishing lines, so hopefully a lot of the lines are just good. Alright, so for this last line, the outside plug, because we can reach the whole thing very easily, I'm just going to visually inspect this one and make sure it's still good. So we've got the entire line out and it goes into the wall right there, and there's lots of slack, so I'll be able to use this one no problem. No damage to the insulation, so I'm gonna go ahead and just pull this one back up. Alright, so I'm going to be going back in here eventually because I'm leaving these two lines, well, one of these lines disconnected. So I'm using an old work box or a retrofit box, depending where you are. And we're going to install these. And I got to go back in here anyway, either from the inside or the outside, to fix up all the insulation I'm angled. Let me get into that when we get to that. I'd say one of the benefits of the steel box is it's much less of a struggle getting the wires fed. I'm not a big fan of these tabs ever since I moved to Michigan. There we go. Alright, still got my tags on. Alright. This is slightly bigger than the previous opening, which is A-okay. These have a little fin that tightens up against the wall. Solid box. Ready to order. What I would like, there we go. I just need some extra ground wire to extend that one piece. I've got some right here. That was the other thing I noticed. Most of it's well grounded, but some of these outlets, for some reason, the ground was cut right off. Not really supposed to do that. These ground wires are just going to get connected together. Gonna hop outside. All right. Here, I'm gonna throw a GFCI. Clean this out a little bit first. Local wildlife. Big hope. I should check before I even start this. This is a pretty small box, as if this is even gonna fit. If I take out one bracket, it will. Need a screwdriver. Want it to fit comfortably. These are big boxes put in. Let's hop back inside. not bothering with the box yet. I'll be putting one on soon, but I don't want to do that until I've identified all these lines, and that's probably a few days out. So this will be fine till then. Not really anybody in here but me. So one more spot we're gonna liven up. Let's go have a look. All right, so we're now in the garage. I got my new stud finder, and we're gonna try and keep it above the subfloor on this side, and we're gonna try and keep it within a wall cavity. I'm gonna use another retrofit box, and this line, it won't be permanent. So that's going to be the top of the top plate. Right about there. So I mark these out, not anything complicated. I'm just going to stay within my lines. So let's see how close we are. All right, got a short ways to go. So got a bit extension that I'm going to throw on the end of my drill here, and I'm close enough to the subfloor to reach it just fine. We just got to try and make sure that insulation stays out of our way so we don't mangle it all up. Just far enough away. I got to drill this one from down below. So let's head down there. It's where we're going anyway. So knowing how thick that rim joist is, pretty much where I want to go. I'm going to be right about here, and that should be pretty much dead center on our box anyway, and right close to a stud. All right. So this line I'm about to put in is technically temporary. So I'm going to be putting a sub panel in the garage at some point through this project. And at that point, I'm going to wire everything from the garage. So this line I'm running, I'm going to run enough line to be able to use it when I disconnect that for the kitchen. It's the same gauge wire I'm going to need for most of the kitchen uses. So I'm going to have enough there that I'll be able to pull it back a little bit and run it up where I want it to go. But this is going to help us through for the meantime. Once again, the whole idea is I don't want extension cords run through doors. I'd like easy access power here and there. I'm gonna have to set up different places. So it's nice to establish power early on. It just saves time down the road. So I'm gonna use one of the existing runs, and I'm gonna maybe extend one of the runs to that rear wall, and then just measure out how much line I'm gonna need either to run to an outlet in the kitchen, or it could be the dedicated line for the fridge or the microwave. Those usually get dedicated lines. Well, the fridge always, but the microwave most of the time now. So let's get that run, pull the wire. So I've got the line that was used to run all the basement lights, and that one's definitely coming out, and that was pretty much a dedicated line from one of these. This one. All right, so I had not quite enough wire, so I tapped into one of the boxes in the laundry room for the time being that looked okay, and I picked up some of this heavy gauge line that is in good shape, and we're just going to finish off for that. So that line that I ran, we're probably going to use it somewhere in the laundry room, and that's fine. When we actually go to finish wiring everything in, and this is some heavy line, but it's perfect for what we're doing right now. So because this is a very heavy gauge line, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge working it in the way we typically would. So there's nothing wrong with using a heavier line. The only pain is going to be squishing all this in. It's very stiff, it's very difficult to get in place. And I still got that corner popped out, so I'll have to figure that out. But get that. And we're going to go ahead and connect everything in, and then we'll try and squish it. All right. So I guess I didn't hit record, but I got these things wired into the panel and everything turned on. So let's go around. I can at least take you around to check everything. So I know the pump's running. I heard it kick on, but coming over here, starting at the sump pit. So I got basic tester here, no big deal. I'm gonna plug that in, and if I get 2 orange lights, we're good. That's 2 orange lights. So one thing I want to do while I'm here, I'm gonna plug in the pump and see if it still runs. No idea. Bear with me. Not hearing a thing. I guess the camera cut out there, but yeah, there is water down there and I don't hear a pump, so probably have to look into that, but that's a job for tomorrow. So let's head upstairs to the next circuit. And we're, oh, all right, so, good, good, no good, good, huh. Oh, I know why that is. I didn't realize when I pulled this plug out, it was, these ones here are meant to be wired separately, top and bottom, so you can get 2 dedicated lines in there. That's all right, we got 3 plugs there. Let's continue on. We'll start at the end first. We're looking for 2 orange lights. Good. Good. And out here to the GFCI. Just hit reset on that now. And that's good. All right. So, probably not the most interesting day for you, but stick around, it'll get more interesting. But I'm excited. I got power in all the critical areas, so I'll be able to function a lot better now, and it'll keep us moving through the project better. So we'll see you in the next one.